Hey everyone. So when you hear the word landfill, what pops into your head? Probably just a massive, stinking pile of trash, right? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that because the modern landfill is actually an incredible piece of engineering designed from the ground up to protect our environment. It's way more than just a dump.
So let's ask the big question. What is really going on inside one of these things? Under the surface. It's not a case of out of sight, out of mind. Nope. It's a buzzing, active environment packed with chemical reactions and potential hazards that need to be managed 24/7.
And the game plan for all of this is a concept called mitigation and impact management. Honestly, think of it as the strategic playbook. It's how engineers get ahead of every single potential problem, from toxic liquids to explosive gases, and build the solution right into the design before it can ever become a crisis.
And the philosophy behind it? It's actually really simple and smart. Step 1, do everything you can to avoid the problem in the first place. If you can't avoid it completely, step 2 is to minimize the damage as much as humanly possible. And finally, for any impacts that are just unavoidable, you compensate for them, maybe by restoring a nearby habitat. Avoid, minimize, compensate. That 3-step process guides literally every decision we're about to look at.
Okay, to see how this all works in the real world, we're going to zoom in on a specific case, the Al-Shamal City landfill. It's the perfect example of the complex environmental puzzle that engineers have to piece together every single day.
Let's start with the things you can't see, the invisible threats. These are the chemical reactions cooking away deep inside the mountain of waste. And this is where some of the biggest risks are, mainly from 2 things, a nasty toxic liquid and a really potent gas.
Okay, check this out. Every single day, this landfill produces about 4 cubic meters of a contaminated liquid called leachate. To put that in perspective, that's about 4,000 liters. It's basically, well, it's garbage juice. As rain and other water trickles down through all the trash, it picks up a whole cocktail of nasty chemicals. And if that stuff gets out, oh, the consequences are bad. It can poison the surrounding soil, but the real nightmare scenario is it's seeping down into the groundwater, contaminating drinking water sources with heavy metals, ammonia. You get the picture. The bottom line is you absolutely have to contain every last drop. So how do they do it? It's like building a fortress. The entire base of the landfill is sealed with this heavy-duty composite liner. We're talking thick plastic fused with dense clay. Then, a whole network of pipes acts like a drainage system, collecting all that leachate. From there, it gets treated. And they're constantly testing nearby water wells and even have channels to divert rainwater away, so they make less of the stuff to begin with. It's a full-on, multi-layered defense. Now, let's talk about that second chemical threat. As all the organic stuff in there, old food, yard waste, breaks down without any oxygen, it creates landfill gas, and the main component of that gas is methane. This one site produces almost 1,000 kilograms of methane every single day. So why is that a big deal? Well, for one, methane is an absolute beast of a greenhouse gas. Over a 20-year span, it's 84 times more powerful at trapping heat than carbon dioxide. On top of that, it's super flammable, so you've got a major fire and explosion risk just waiting to happen. So how do you tame this beast? Well, engineers install a web of pipes and wells that basically act like giant straws, sucking all that gas out from deep within the waste. That gas is then piped to a high-efficiency flare, which burns it at over 98% efficiency. And this safely converts that really dangerous methane into much, much less harmful CO2 and water vapor. Pretty clever. Okay, so we've covered the invisible chemical threats. Now let's shift gears to the physical stuff, the nuisances that can directly impact the local community. We're talking about the things you can actually see, hear, and, yes, smell. First on the list, dust. I mean, with all those heavy trucks and bulldozers moving around all day, you can imagine it gets pretty dusty. If left uncontrolled, you'd be looking at over 2 tons of airborne particles every year, and that includes those smaller, more dangerous particles like PM10 and PM2.5 that can get deep into your lungs. So what's the plan? Honestly, it's beautifully simple. Common sense stuff. You spray water on the roads to keep the dust settled, you make sure all the trucks are covered and have a strict, slow speed limit. If the wind really picks up, you just stop the work for a bit, and you plant a bunch of trees around the edge to act as a natural wall. Simple, right? But incredibly effective. All right, now for the big one, the smell. How do you manage that?
Well, this is not guesswork. Engineers use really sophisticated computer models to predict exactly how and where the smelly compounds, like hydrogen sulfide, are going to travel through the air.
And the model gives them a very clear answer. It predicted that about 500 meters away from the site, the smell level would be around 1.3 parts per billion. Now, that sounds like a tiny, tiny number. But here's the thing. The human nose is so sensitive it can start picking up that smell at just half a part per billion. So yeah, without a plan, people nearby would definitely notice. So the target is to slash those odor emissions by 60% to get them well below that level we can detect. And the number one tool in the toolbox? It's that same gas collection system we talked about for methane. It is an absolute powerhouse, cutting odors by up to 90%. On top of that, they use special covers and just bury the really smelly waste as fast as possible.
Okay, so we've looked at the big environmental picture, but what about the direct impact on the people who work there and on the local plants and animals? That's a totally different but just as critical piece of this whole puzzle.
I mean, just look at the working conditions. The noise can get up to 94 decibels, and the heat can hit a blistering 42 degrees Celsius. The safety targets, mandated by law, are much, much lower. So how do you bridge that gap? You do it with things like providing high-quality protective gear, making sure the machinery is well-maintained and quiet, and having strict work-rest schedules, especially during the hottest parts of the day. It's all about keeping people safe.
All right, get ready for a weird one. This is my favorite part. What on earth could a landfill possibly have to do with a luxury food? Any guesses?
The answer is truffles. It turns out the land around the landfill is a natural habitat for wild desert truffles, which are a huge local delicacy. So a massive part of the management plan is dedicated to protecting them. They literally map out all the truffle spots, they reroute the trucks to go around them, they don't dig in those areas during truffle season, and they even work with the local truffle hunters to make sure this amazing resource is protected. How cool is that?
So when you take a step back and look at all these different pieces, the systems for the leachate and the gas, the procedures for the dust and the smell, the safety rules for the workers, and even the protection plan for the truffles, you see it's not just a collection of fixes. It's one complete, sustainable system where every part works together. And this is really why all of this matters so much. This incredibly detailed planning isn't just about making one landfill run well. As the source material points out, it's about helping the entire country meet its long-term goals for the environment and climate change. Each landfill is a small but vital piece of a much, much bigger picture.
So, the next time you toss something in the bin, maybe take a second to think about the incredible journey it's about to go on and the sheer amount of science and engineering that's in place to manage it safely. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If the reality of our waste is this complex, maybe our everyday thinking about it is just a little too simple.